Hi, this is the Democratic Alliance Labour Report, Friday the 7th of July 2023. Thank you for tuning in. What I'm hoping to handle today, and let's see if we've got enough time, is the Cosatu March that we had yesterday, the issues that Volkswagen have with regard to work visas, the fala whitewash, the Minister of Labour referring to black members of the opposition in Parliament as rented blacks. The Minister of Labour has tried to whitewash the fact that skilled people are leaving South Africa. We have 706 nurses terminated in Limpopo, and we've got a shortage. And then, of course, we're looking at the stricter rules with regard to employers that don't pay over to the pension fund. And of course, at the end of the day, the Democratic Alliance take on all of this. So thank you for tuning in. It's Michael Bagram. I appreciate it if you could share this with colleagues and friends. And remember, the Democratic Alliance is pushing hard now in the run-up to the elections in 2024. Probably be around about mid-year next year. But we need to work now to ensure that the coalitions fall into place and that the Democratic Alliance comes to sort out the labour issues that we've got in this country. We can't afford to continue. We've got basically 40% unemployment, which is probably the greatest in the world. We have the second lowest productivity in the world. And at the end of the day, when you're looking at youth, and in particular the previously disadvantaged youth, up to 80% in some of the townships just can't find jobs. It's tragic. It can't carry on like that, and we must bring in a new government. Okay, so let's first look at the Cosatu March yesterday. You must recall that since the inception of the new democratic government, Cosatu has been in partnership, in an alliance with the ANC and the Communist Party. So they're hand in glove, Cosatu, ANC, Communist Party. Hand in glove. What has Cosatu been doing is they've been marching against the ANC government for years now. I think it's the past 10 years they've had marches against the ANC government. Now, it sounds ridiculous. They're in a marriage, and yet somehow they're not seeing each other at all. And I can understand where Cosatu's coming from. Their numbers are dwindling. The trade union movement's becoming almost irrelevant. Their people are being treated badly in government circles. And at the end of the day, they can't afford to live. People do not have enough to have the wherewithal to actually carry on keeping their standard of living. So they're marching against government, which is their marriage partner. So it doesn't make any sense, but the march yesterday and Thursday, the 6th of July, was a damn squib. Very few people came out. They handed over a few memoranda to government. I don't think anyone's going to do anything about it, and I don't think it's going to make any sense whatsoever. This is the former fantastic trade union umbrella body that brought apartheid to its knees, is now looking at trying to bring its own marriage partner to its knees as well. I think that marriage should be terminated as quickly as possible. To have a partnership when people are not getting on is not making any sense. And of course, we are thankful at the end of the day that it didn't bring society to a standstill. But at the end of the day, we also want to see some results, and you'll not get any results out of that. The Democratic Alliance in the Western Province has shown that where it governs, we create jobs. We've also shown that where the Democratic Alliance governs, that red tape is taken away. We can do a lot more if we control the Department of Employment and Labour, which we should do through a coalition in 2024 after the elections. So let's hope and pray that people do come out, and when they do come out, they pray, obviously, that we have a new government, and that would be led by a coalition led by the Democratic Alliance. Now, let's go on to the Volkswagen story. Now, this is the strangest story you can think of. Volkswagen, and the government has been trumpeting this for years. Volkswagen has factories, they manufacture their vehicles here in South Africa. They have factories in the Gauteng area, in the Eastern Cape, and they bring through the experts who then in turn train local South Africans and employ South Africans. And in fact, the extended employment through the Volkswagen manufacturing units is over 100,000 jobs. So we have in South Africa over 100,000 jobs because of Volkswagen manufacturing in this country. I think it's a lot more, but let's call it 100,000. Now, they've been trying to get work visas from this incompetent government for months, and they can't bring their experts across to South Africa, which in turn then threatens the 100,000 jobs. Now, you can't make up a story like this. I suspect maybe if you were reading Alice in Wonderland, it would be a lot more believable than what we're seeing with regard to Volkswagen. So we're threatening jobs which we desperately need. We're threatening bringing in experts who can train our people. We don't have experts in those fields. And we're also threatening the relationship between the government and Germany. And Germany is the powerhouse of Europe. What can be worse when we're suffering the worst unemployment in the world and we're now threatening other countries by not giving their people visas? Doesn't make any sense. Well, of course, let's move on to the Falafala disaster. You remember the dollars stuck in the couch story, which sold phantom buffalo that never got delivered? Remember that story? Well, now Parliament has said that no, there's nothing wrong with that, and a complete whitewash. No disciplinary action is going to be taken against the president. He's now trying to blame his chief policeman, putting the blame onto him. We experts at this, says the ANC, we can blame anyone, but not our own people. And so let's watch this space, because this Falafala exercise is not going to go away. And quite frankly, it is a complete and utter whitewash. Well, the DA is not standing back. We're pushing for more details. We're bringing court applications. The Democratic Alliance will get to the bottom of what has transpired over here. This is a president who reported to Parliament that he's earned no money other than what he gets from the public purse. On the other hand, he stuffed his couch with millions of dollars. I mean, wow, that's quite something. That's a couch that I want to buy. Well, we've also had some interesting judgments. You remember the Zuma gag on the journalists? He was trying to take them to court to gag them, to stop journalists reporting on him and his numerous court cases, which he's trying to avoid. Well, Zuma has had his comeuppance in that at least the courts, and they've been very good about this, the courts have been clear that you mustn't use lawfare against journalists. They're doing their job, they're entitled to report, and they must report. So well done to the judges on this one, really excited about that. The Minister of Labour in a debate, and I have said this before, got upset, lost his temper. The man regularly loses his temper and started shouting in a portfolio meeting, a Labour portfolio meeting, that black members of the opposition are rented blacks. Well, lo and behold, the Democratic Alliance could have raised a complaint about this, because can you imagine if someone else said that? I mean, that's just plain racism. And of course, what happened was Parliament again said, no, nothing wrong with that, because he didn't actually name who the rented blacks were, or something to that effect. I'm still sitting back here thinking, how is it possible that this could happen in the new South Africa? You call people rented blacks. Again, the Minister of Employment and Labour tried to whitewash the fact that skilled people in South Africa are leaving. Well, you can't blame them. Whites, coloureds, Indians, they've got no future in terms of his regulations, those dastardly regulations of the Employment Equity Act, disgusting regulations. Well, the youngsters are saying no, they'd rather leave the country and get jobs elsewhere. Even if you can get a job here as an Indian artisan in South Africa, your future is not secure, because you might never get an increase, you might never get a promotion because you happen to be Indian, according to the minister's regulations in any event. He hasn't withdrawn those regulations, but there we have it. Then, of course, we have in Limpopo 706 nurses had their contracts terminated, but we're short of nurses. I mean, again, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Our nurses are leaving in the droves to foreign jurisdictions, to the UAE. But no, we dismiss what we've got. And this is the same government, the ANC government, that wants to bring in NHI. And so we're going to not take a whole private sector and nationalize it in the health sector. They cannot run a piss up in a brewery. And now they want to do this. Doesn't make sense at all. And of course, we've seen the ANC itself didn't pay over UIF or workmen's compensation to their own staff, which they deducted. But now, of course, we're trying to ensure that the pension monies are paid over to pension funds. So the rules are getting stricter. And again, with Democratic Alliance, hopefully will be paving the way to ensure that all institutions pay over the monies that are deducted from their staff. Remember, the Democratic Alliance is fighting your case. We're in your corner, and we're looking very much forward to those elections and to taking over government as a coalition in 2024. Thank you for listening to me. It's Michael Bagram, Friday, the 7th of July, 2023, from the Democratic Alliance.